All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Table podcast. I am your host, Pastor Mike, and I am here with my co-host here across to my right, Eric Martinez, CEO of
Proper Excel.
Proper Excel, man. And this is the man that brought me to the Lord. So again, shout out to you every single time we're on an episode. Thank you, bro, for being with us. And on my right side here, we have the wonderful and amazing
Crystal.
Chris T.A.B.L.E. Sister, how old were you whenever you went to PTM?
16.
16. Man. How many years were you there?
5.
Are you going to be doing an episode soon?
Maybe. That's a secret.
Still thinking about it?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned?
Stay tuned.
Okay. So again, for those of you watching, guys, I'm going to be redundant on this part. I always tell y'all the reason why we started this podcast is not to criticize, not to bash, not to get likes or followers, but it's to do 3 specific things. Number 1, we want to expose the enemy. Scripture is very clear on that. What the enemy's done in darkness, we want to bring to the light. Number 2 is we want to give people a platform to share their story. So a lot of people haven't been given a voice to speak. So we want to help give that to them so that they can air their story out on social media. We've been doing that. And then number 3 is we want to help people actually get healed and free. We truly believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. We believe in inner healing and deliverance. Our ministry is focused heavily on that and seeing people actually recover from church hurt that they've experienced in the past. So those are the 3 reasons for that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. We actually have my dear friend and brother in the Lord for, what, how many years, man?
Man, it's been 15 years.
15 years, man. So shout out to my boy, my Nigerian friend, Stephen Oyetunji. Thank you, man, for being on the podcast today. We're ready to hear your story, man. So I'll turn it over to you, wherever you want to start, man.
Oh, okay. So basically, I'll just start from the beginning. I think that's just the best place to start with any story, right? So I got saved in 2007, with my best friend, Mark, you know what I'm saying? Other best friend, Eric Romero, and then at the same time with Mark's, former wife, Candace. So what happened was that, we were very radical for the Lord, you know what I mean? So we were just all out for God, you know what I'm saying? It got to the point where we dropped out of college because we just wanted to serve God and just be it, you know what I mean? So what happened was that me, Mark, we used to always go to, to the malls and just evangelize and just preach the gospel to people, wherever the case may be, parks, whatever the case may be. Then Eric and Candace, they started coming along as well. So one day, Mark came up with the bright idea, hey, man, let's start a house church. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, that's what they did back in the old times, the Book of Acts. They started a house church. So it's like, we were like, okay, because the churches that we were going to, they were like really wishy-washy, really fluffed, and they weren't preaching an authentic gospel of Jesus Christ. So we were just like, in a way, our passion was there. We were ignorant, but we knew we wanted the Lord. We knew we wanted to serve Jesus. We knew we wanted to honor his name, but we also know we wanted the truth. Yeah. So we're growing at a rate that the churches that we're going to, they weren't feeding us the meat that we needed. They were just giving us milk. So we're like, forget it. We're going to do it on our own. So we ended up starting our house church, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't know what the heck we were doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We just had people that we evangelized to. They came to Mark and Candace's apartment at the time, and then we just minister and just go around and sharing the word. And it was like a basic Bible study, right? But the problem was when you put believers who are, in a sense, still in that infant stage, you really need a pastor to guide you. Yeah. So obviously you're going to fall into some different traps that you're not really repentant from. There's different pitfalls that you fall into, right? So at the end of the day, what happened was that one day, Eric and myself, we went to a bookstore, a Christian bookstore. He needed another Bible. This dude had like 5 Bibles, but he wanted to get another Bible. I'm like, all right, cool. So we went to the bookstore. We met this homie named Troy. And Troy was on house arrest, and he just got out of jail. His dad is a pastor, right? And he was.
I remember Troy.
Yeah. And he was just like so hyped up, talking about Christianity, and we were just like excited, he's another brother, But he started talking about Christian hip hop and other stuff. But we were so religiously minded, because the thing that got me saved was that, I saw the truth behind hip hop videos, right? And I love rap, you know what I'm saying? That's just what I grew up on, all that stuff. The soundtrack to my life is a hip-hop song, right? So what happened was that when I saw those videos, well, all of us saw those videos, we were like, well, but rap is the devil. You know what I'm saying? That's what we thought. So homie was talking about, Christian hip hop and all this other stuff like this, but we just curved him. But anyway, he saw that we were kind of confused, a little bit too militant, yet we had the zeal but no wisdom, right? Yeah. So he was just like, yeah, let's exchange numbers, yada, yada, yada. Cool. So what happened was that a couple days later, T.A.B.L.E walked into that same Christian bookstore. And Troy started talking to him, and then he started telling Troy about the youth church.
Yeah.
So Troy's like, I got these guys that I know. I talk to them, but they kind of need a pastor. Can you pastor them?
Yeah.
And he was just like, I don't want to pastor Christians.
So time frame, this is still 07,
this
right?
This is back
or
in 2008.
8, okay.
So in 2008,
okay.
This all happened. So he was just like, well, I don't want to pastor any Christians. I don't want to deal with them. But Troy begged him, and he gave him our number. We didn't ask him to give him our numbers, but he gave it to him.
Okay.
So one day, at this time, because my parents are like, hey, if you're not going to go to school anymore, you need to get out the house, yada, yada, yada. So I was staying with Mark. So one day I came back to the apartment. He was on the phone, and on three-way conversation with Eric, and David was on the phone, right? So I came and sat down. I'm like, who is this guy y'all talking to, yada, yada, yada. So he starts telling us about the church. He starts telling about y'all's prayer nights and all this other fly stuff. And we're like intrigued, like who the heck gets people, let alone teenagers or young adults, to pray from 10 p.m. to 6 in the morning? That doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So I was enamored by that. You know what I'm saying? So then what took it to another level was like, hey, man, he said, he gets on the phone. He goes, hey, man, I'll just prophesy to y'all over the phone. So I'm like, I ain't never heard nobody prophesy over the phone, dog. You got to be in front of him, whatever. It's like, this is dope. So he prophesies over the phone. He tells an accurate prophecy about Eric. He tells a prophecy about Mark. He tells an accurate prophecy about me. So that was the week. The week after that, that's when we disbanded the church. And because Eric, Frenchie, y'all remember, Eric, Frenchie, and Candace, they went to go visit, you know what I'm saying, PTM.
Yeah.
And I had just got back from an encounter, so it was like on a weekday service, like on a Tuesday or something like that. So they were like, oh, man, this place is awesome, yada, yada, yada. So they were telling us about it. It was like, forget it.
We were at Octavio's place there, right?
Yeah, that's when y'all
in Richmond?
Yeah, in Richmond.
Okay,
so,
okay.
And so they're like, yeah, man, come, let's start going to this church. Okay, it was either follow you guys or follow these Hebrew Israelite guys that we were following on YouTube.
Oh, Lordy.
So it was like, it's like, well, we didn't know how dark that hole was gonna go, right? So, anyways, so it was like, man, let's just go. So we went.
I think now the Hebrew Israelites would have probably been a better choice.
Looking back.
Nah, never, man, nah. So, anyways, but just to counter what you said, I think all of this was like really a great experience. So I'm gonna explain that in the end. Yeah. So anyways, so we ended up going on the Sunday service, and we felt the anointing of God like never before. Yeah. Like when this man was on it, like this dude was on it. You know what I'm saying? So we went there when he was talking about the supremacy of God. You know what I'm saying? So we remember that teaching. Yeah. And it was so great. This is when you guys were, at the hotel and everything like this. So we were just like, man, this has got to be the place we need to be, because people were lifting up their hands, raising their hands. It was cool. It was weird. Everybody was, when they did worship, it was all dark. It was kind of, different. But I'm like, all right. So I mean, it's a hotel. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, all the money that we collected, because we used to pay our tithes and offerings in the house church. Who the heck we're gonna give it to? So we gave all the tithes and offerings that we had, and we gave it to the church, PTM. Because we wanted to be honest, and then he tells us, man, I'm so glad that you guys brought this money. We're not going to be able to make the rent or something like that for paying for that, the hotel that conference room that I was using at the time.
Oh wow!
So, anyways, I started bringing my friends, my man Q. I started bringing Ashley, my homeboy Wilson. So we just started going from there, and everybody started coming to church.
Q,
yeah. So, anyways, so the things took a turn for the worse around in 2008. So there was this one brother who was at the church, and he calls me up. I remember this night very vividly. I was on my bed. I was reading the book of Matthew. This guy called me on the phone, and he told me, hey, Stephen, I just want to let you know I'm not coming. I'm not going to come back to PTM no more. I'm like, why you don't want to come back? Well, he says that, well, um, I don't like the way David has been talking to one of the sisters in the church. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I was looking at one of these sisters' phones, and he was texting her that he loves her, and she was texting back that she loved him.
Dang.
So he said, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so I just want to let you know that I won't be there anymore. I'm like,
sorry, man. Who's the guy?
His name is Isaac.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Ivan. His name is
Ivan. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
His name was Ivan.
Ivan. Okay.
So he left, and I was just like, okay. So then I decided to confront David about it, right? So I went up to David, and I sat with him in one of those rooms. I forget, we had an event that night or something like this, but I confronted him about it. And I asked him, like, hey, this dude Ivan is saying that, you and so-and-so are having these conversations on the low and all this. So then he just brushed it off and said, man, there's nothing going on there. I think that guy's tripping, yada, yada, yada. He says, I want you to do me a favor and tell my wife. Now, keep in mind, in the latter days, he would always say, don't tell my wife.
Yeah.
This time he says, okay, go tell my wife. So I said, cool. So I went to go tell his wife, and she's like, I appreciate you telling me that, yada, yada, yada. Brush it off, move on, okay? But the story is different because I actually left. When I left in 2019, I went to go investigate myself and ask this girl because me and her were friends.
Yeah.
So I went to go investigate and ask her what the heck really happened during that time. And she said that when she started coming to the church that he was always on her case. You know what I'm saying? He was always, just basically riding her, you know what I'm saying, for everything she did. If she didn't show up to church, he was there, yada, yada, yada. So she said it got to the point where this dude was outside of her house waiting for her and stuff like this. She would drive.
Outside of her house?
For sure.
Wow.
Outside of the house waiting for her. He said that from what she told me, she's like, he would say, don't drive at night, because you never know what could happen. So one day she's driving at night, right? And he texted her, look behind you.
What?
This fool's behind her.
Bro.
That's straight.
That's
up
creepy.
That's stalker
This fool's
vibes.
behind her. She would go,
Sheesh.
then he's like, he tells her,
Look right behind you, sister.
pull over.
Like it's a movie. Should be in a scary movie, man.
So he pulls her.
Yo.
I know, right? This is the pastor that laid hands on us, right? So
Yes, thank you for reminding us.
he told her, hey, man, get in the parking lot, in the empty parking lot. And I think from what she told me, he said to get in the car. And then she said, he told her to say, hey, act like you're reaching for something. And then he just pulled her to the back. And she said, no, he told her, he's like, hey, you could have been raped 5 times by now. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that.
So he's trying to like teach her a lesson.
Yeah.
Basically. So, and what she told me was this dude would show up at her job before work even started and la da 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 da. So one day,
That's crazy.
he confronted her because she started to avoid him. She's like, he goes, why are you avoiding me? And she's like, she just didn't explain why she was avoiding him. And then he kept trying to goad her into saying, like, you like me, don't you? And she was like, no, I don't like you. And she just kept going. He kept going on with it, kind of goad her into like liking him.
Wow.
So she was just like, no. And then she just finally caved in and said that just to get him off her case. You know what I'm saying? And I think there was a time where when she told me that in the conversation that we had, that she said that she liked you. So, and I don't know if she told you or whatever, I guess from what she told me. She said she had told you. And back then, like, if you like somebody, you can't tell the person that you like. You got to tell the pastors first, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So after, I guess, you told David what she had said. So David confronted her and said, you don't like Mike, do you? And it's like, there's no way you could like Mike based off his appearance. I'm like, what? What pastor says that, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you even try to? And the whole thing was so bonkers because, like, this dude would say, oh, we're not going to influence who you like in the church. We're not going to influence,
Right.
your relationships. We don't care. We already married ourselves.
So according to T.A.B.L.E, I am ugly. for the record.
You know what I'm saying? And not to get sidetracked. So one day, from what she told me, all right, Because remember that time he says, oh, I'm going to step into full-time ministry now.
Yeah.
The Lord has called me to step into full-time ministry. So that's a lie. Okay? Here's what happened. So
Oh, I never heard this. Yes, please tell me.
there was a time where she got in a car accident, and you went to go help her.
I remember that, yeah.
And he gets mad that she called you to go help her. So he yells at her and all this stuff. I don't know if he showed up there or what. I don't remember the case, right? But the thing was, the bank that he was working for told him, if you keep going off like this, we're going to fire you.
What?
Oh, dang.
So he left to go help her.
He spin the
So
story.
how do you know this?
Dang.
How do you know this?
Oh, my brother, I'm going to let you know.
I'm like, hold on, man. Hold on.
Oh,
All the
Let you know
sources.
now. I'm going to let you know now. So check it. So he leaves and they fire him. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then he gets up on stage and he's like, oh, I've been talking to my mother-in-law and she's been telling me that I should step into full-time ministry and all this other BS, right? So, and the whole church was like, oh, snap, this is it. You know what I'm saying? He's still in full-time ministry. He's giving his whole life to the Lord, yada, yada, yada. Everybody was excited about it. But the fool was scheming.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
so he was leaving his job like at different times of the day just
To
I gotta
go-
go.
to attend to her needs.
Wow.
And the funny thing about it, bro,
Man.
was one day we were practicing for a play or something, some kind of dance, and she was leading it, right? And I took her home, and she left her cell phone in my car, and I remembered what Ivan had told me about those text messages, bro. So I'm like, you know, what black people do, you know, curious. And, you know, you know what I'm saying? It's not ours, but still, you know, what's going on?
It's in my car.
It's in my car, right? So obviously the Lord then put it into my hands to investigate. So I looked and I'm like, yeah, it's exactly, this dude kept texting her and texting her and texting her. Wow. And I remember prior to that, actually, I had messaged her at work to find out some information. And I just say, you know, casual stuff, what's up, man? How you doing? Yada, yada. And then like she sends me this message and she goes, well, why are you asking me how I'm doing? Yada, yada, yada. She was like really cruel about it. And I'm like, dude, what's your problem? It turns out the person using her phone was David.
What?
He was with her. He was with her getting her tire changed or some kind of nonsense like that. I don't know what the heck, I don't remember. So
This is before, like, just for the record, before we had locks on you know, security locks on our phones, right?
man, I can't even remember.
Well,
that
that's
far
I mean
back.
that's how you were able to access the phone.
Yeah, but he was with her. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Oh,
I'm
it's about
saying
her
like
phone.
yeah, her phone.
Oh yeah, this is before the security locks. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? And even if it was, you know how we do. You know, anyway. So anyway, so like, you know, so all this is happening behind closed doors, right?
Side comment, Eric Martinez.
Okay. So she ended up telling me this, okay? So her parents, they were wild. They had these weird parties and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into details, you know, with her issues, her families and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So, and she would leave. She's like, man, I don't want to stay here. I want to, you know, sometimes she would sleep in her car and all this other great stuff.
So I'm sorry. So this girl was like a recent like convert, like a new
This
believer.
girl started coming to PTM the same time I started coming to PTM.
Okay.
I'm just telling you the story that, you know, from when Ivan, you know, was telling me. I'm telling you the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so now it gets to the point where she's leaving her house. She doesn't want to stay. She either will stay with her sister or she'll stay in her car or she'll find a hotel. So I think she ended up telling him, like, dude, I'm going to stay in a hotel. You know, no, she said, I'm going to sleep in my car. I don't want to, you know, be around my parents when they're having these stupid parties. And he offered to, you know, get her a hotel room. So he takes her into the hotel, you know, gets her the room. And even before that, she said there were times where he would try to touch her and stuff like this. And he would, like, try to play it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he did it by accident or whatever. So anyway, so they get to the hotel room.
By accident.
You know, they get to the hotel room. And then, like, I think from the story standpoint is this. There was a point where both of them had their clothes off or something like that, or damn near naked or something like that, you know. And, like, he thinks, like, you know, they getting ready to do this. You know what I'm saying? And then she's like, nah, man, this can't happen. And she leaves. and she leaves him in there. You know what I'm saying? And she just drives the hell off.
She leaves him in there butt naked.
Look, man, I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Yo,
I don't want to know, dog.
yo.
I don't want to know, man.
I,
I don't know.
it just kind of blows me away that we're over here like, some young people trying to serve the Lord, and then he's over here butt naked in a hotel room. Like,
I think they were fully
yo.
naked. She said they were not fully naked, nothing like that. It's just like, okay. But every time she tried to,
That's crazy.
every time she tried to tell Carol, you know what I'm saying? Like he would always say, "Don't bother my wife with this stuff. She's sick. You know, if you tell the church, it's going to destroy the church. Yada yada yada. You know." And the funny thing is like, this is back in 2008, and I never would have stayed. The reason I stayed was because number one, he did have an anointed message, right? And then number two, there was a night where his mentor, T.A.B.L.E, who's actually a legit guy, you know what I'm saying? He comes and he prophesies to the entire church individually. And David told me, make sure you're there that night. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, cool, I think this guy's on the up and up. But I didn't know the stuff behind the closed doors, right? So T.A.B.L.E comes and he prophesies to everybody. He prophesies to my brother Eric. He prophesies to you, right? All these people get these amazing prophecies. I saw Eric's prophecy fulfilled, right? I'm seeing your prophecy being fulfilled, and it's going. So this guy is legit.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
So even Cliff, he prophesied certain things about me that was like totally legit. So I'm like, okay, man, this has to be the place that God has called me to, right?
Yeah.
And the thing also was the prayer nights. They were like the prayer nights alone were better than some of the Sunday services because the worship was off the chain. Man, you see people dancing on the chairs and stuff like that. It was like a party, right? But it was for God. You know what I mean? So otherwise, I would have left if I had found out all this stuff was going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, back to that story. There was a time when we were at the newer hotel on Bel Air in Beltway 8.
But wait, West Hammer.
She hadn't been seen for a while. And I remember going downstairs to bring some equipment or something like that. I forgot why I went downstairs because they had me doing security and all that nonsense. So she was like out of it. She was crying. And I don't know if this is at the time where that hotel incident happened. You know what I'm saying? And she came, and I think he had gone to Colombia or something, And she was like really distraught. You could tell like she had something happened. I don't know, something happened. But I think that she was gonna tell Carol what was really going on. You know what I'm saying? And I really the fact is the sister tried so many times to tell people. So I just want to apologize to her. She's listening. She knows who she is. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a time where she didn't believe her. But I'm gonna get back to that story. So, anyways, it went into full-time ministry. There was also an incident where me and my boy Fonseca, David told us that a certain individual was going to come to the church and make sure that he gets off the premises. His name, ironically, was David. And so I didn't know that was David's best friend back in the day when he first got saved. They grew up together, they discipled each other or something like that. They were just like really like this, you know what I mean? So that David ended up, from what I was told, okay, this is from a story that was told to me, ended up, I guess, messing around with Pastor David's sister, his younger sister. And Pastor David, who was at a different church at this time, basically called the cops on this other David, right? And I don't know if she was underage or whatever like this. So basically this man had a case on him, as a sex offender, all because David, was pissed that his sister was messing around with this guy. You know what I'm saying? So this dude has a sex offender case on him. So he told us that he was trying to show up and tell him to, get out of here. So I'm like, we kindly told him to leave. You know what I'm saying? And the funny thing is, he is one of the brothers of one of our comrades that was at the church too. You know what I'm saying? He just wanted God, but they told us to tell him to leave, or whatever. So anyway, so there was another sister who was coming to the church. Judy, right? So Judy was actually a friend of my older brother and his wife, because they used to work together in this group called Young Life, right? So, and I didn't even know that until she came to PTM. She was invited by, I think she said Danny on the podcast, right? And she came to the church and she started bringing her people that she was discipling to the church, right? So one day, I was working at doing tires and stuff like that in a tire shop. So, and everybody knew I was because I would come to church dressed in my tire suit and stuff. So anyways, she calls me one day and says, hey, can you help me with my tire? It's messed up. I'm like, cool, let me just go get my stuff, and I'm going to come over there and pick you up and we'll fix your tire, whatever the case may be. So I went over there, bro. I went to go pick her up. And before we even leave the doggone parking lot, before we leave, she gets a text message from David. And she tells me, just bring me back. And she was sad. And like, what are you talking about? Bring you back? What are you talking about? You said your car was messed up. She's like, nah, Pastor David said that he's going to come pick me up. Like, well, all right, man. So I left her there, you know what I'm saying? And then I took off. So it turns out, she said that David was coming with his wife. BS. He came by himself. So so he puts her in the car and he starts telling her, if y'all interested in what the details of what he said, go watch Judy's episode. So, and he was telling her all these disgusting things and like it's just odd things that a pastor shouldn't say to a member or another woman, period. You know what I'm saying? If you're already married. So, and she just felt like, what the heck is this guy doing? What did he, And then she ended up leaving the church. And the narrative, and that's the thing about David and his wife, they always wanted to control the narrative, just like the media. They wanted to control the narrative, and they spun it around and made it seem like, oh, she left just because she wanted to go back to her ex-boyfriend. The truth is, she was hip to the game before we was. She knew how a church was supposed to be ran. This dude didn't have any people he was answering to, and that she was like, nah, man, I can't stay here anymore, and she took off. You know what I'm saying? So is life. So another thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was the courtship system. Because if you think about it, David, the way he did things was this. He would draw the men closer to himself, okay, to get all their information and all the things that they're struggling with, so that if there was a girl that they liked, he would try to use that information against them because David was also interested in that girl.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? He would draw them close and then also twist the story. You know what I'm saying? He would twist the story, make it darker than it seemed, and that's why you didn't see that many not many marriages in the church. You know what I'm saying? I was even heard some information that, he was not interested in your wife or something. I forgot what the case may be. But the girls he wasn't interested in, he didn't care about them. You know what I'm saying? So this dude was like so warped in his mind, and I'll give him credit for always trying to be 10 steps. But also, I believe a spirit was leading him, a demonic spirit at that time as well.
That's a good way to kind of break that down. To some people, it might not make a lot of sense, but it makes sense on how you just broke it down. That was good.
Yeah, he went on a fishing expedition so he could try to collect all that he needed.
Wanted to collect all the information from the brothers. Like, he was intimidated by them. You know what I'm saying? He was really intimidated by a lot of the dudes there. You know what I'm saying? I could say this. I believe he was intimidated by me, And I think he was intimidated by you and your anointing. He was intimidated by Eric because he would always challenge him. You know what I'm saying? We all know Eric had good intentions, but we know Eric, he comes out, straightforward. He's not, he's blunt. You know what I mean?
Is that true, Eric?
A little bit.
We're kind of like one and the same. So anyways, so I did the rap team. You know what I'm saying? I did the rap team with Eric. I did the rap team with,
What was it called? The mission, right?
So first it was called, what was the whack
Oh,
name?
please no.
What was that whack name?
Bro, let's.
It had a whack name, dog. I'm trying to remember what was it called. Dress to Kill. That was a stupid name, right? But everyone's like, oh, that's a great name. I'm like, no, that's not a good name, bro.
This is like 2007.
No, this is like 2011,
2008.
12, you know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
Lord.
Dressed for what?
Dressed to, I don't know. I think it was like dressed in the armor of God. And it was just like, it wouldn't fly any type of Christian hip hop circuit whatsoever because it was kind of like really off kilter, So anyways, long story short, so, we did the rap team and I was just doing this, man. I had my small group and everything like this. I was raising up people. They got to the point where one of my groups got so big, I had like a little small Saturn, you know what I'm saying? And I would gather families, into that car, and then I would go like maybe 3 to 4 trips. just to go pick them up so these people can receive Jesus, not knowing they're being led to the slaughter by the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Because of how David was acting.
Yeah.
So I was on the rap team. I was a full-time college student, and I was also a part-time working, and I also did the plays and the dramas. Used to write those all the time. So I was so exhausted. You know what I'm saying? And he kept telling everybody, it's like, yeah, when I was your age and I was first started off in Christianity, I never slept. I was a sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. So he's pounding this into my head.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, man, I'm dead tired. But because he's saying this, okay, fine. I think I'll just,
This is normal.
yeah, it's normal. So I guess it's what it is, man. There were times, bro, when I tell you, I swear, I was sleeping on the highway driving to school.
Wow.
And I did not know how I got to school, bro. There were times I would sleep in my car because I was so tired. I'm gonna have to study, and I was doing biology, bro. That's not an easy subject. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to the university after each class. You know what I'm saying? I'll find time to study, and I get tired. I'll go and sleep in my car. I will get out, go to my next class, then go to my job, then go to go to Tuesday service, and then do the same thing on Wednesday. Come back home, wake up at 3:00 in the morning, study for a test, and then go just do my small group. And then on Thursdays, study again in the middle of the night, wake up at 6, go to another class. And it just went on like that for like 4 years. You know what I'm saying? On top of doing the rap ministry, on top of doing the plays and all that other stuff, on top of doing the protocol and logistics. So I was doing all these things, overextending myself. And I think it's just like he never saw that as, man, this guy's worthy of, you know what I'm saying, of any type of, how can I explain this?
Like he never
Affirmation.
saw enough.
Affirmation.
Yeah.
Like it was never enough for him, you know what I'm saying, type of deal. And then when I think about it, I get to the point where like a lot of us, we got to the place where we weren't really trying to honor God no more. We were trying to honor our pastor more than we're trying to honor God, because it made it seem like if you're not honoring your pastor enough, you're not honoring God. That's why he withheld certain privileges from certain people. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time he invited me to his house and he told me, well, Stephen, the reason why I didn't select you as a deacon is because of this, and the third. Everybody knew I was supposed to be a deacon, bro. Everybody knew that. I had been doing that. You know what I'm saying? And they got to a position where I didn't even care about the title anymore. That's why I don't care about titles now, because I know for a fact right now there's some pastors that cannot outpreach me. You know what I'm saying? There's some pastors, and I don't mean that as an arrogant or cocky way or anything like this, but I know that they don't have the fear of God like I do. You know what I'm saying? To invest and pray like I do. You know what I'm saying? So
The preparation you
the
do.
preparation, all that stuff,
I
the
got you.
sacrifice, the fasting and stuff like this. Dude, people want that limelight so much. I'm like, dude, I've tried to run away from it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a heavy price to pay is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But not to get off track. So around 2000, I think 14, that's when Lorenzo and Imelda, they left the church. And they were deacons, okay? And nobody knew why they left the church. You know what I'm saying? I think the narrative that they painted was that they wanted to start their own church, or I don't know what the case was. Was that the narrative?
Was it, yeah.
But the truth was, he was trying to mess around with this 14-year-old little girl. And
Who?
David. David was trying to mess with this 14-year-old little girl, and Lorenzo and Imelda confronted him about it. You know, it was the day that we actually moved into that building on West Airport. It was Imelda, Lorenzo, and then it was Ramon and his family. You know what I'm saying? And my homeboy Jesus. So they all, they all confronted him about the situation. And like he was like, well, they're just leaving the church and all this other junk. Nobody knew why they was leaving. And now to come to find out, 9 years later, that's the reason why they left, right? So on top of that, there was another deacon, okay, who was also on the rap team. You know what I'm saying? So me and his wife were like really cool before they got married. This is before they got married. Like really, really cool. And like, I would help her write her lyrics and stuff like that. So one day
Sorry, hold on. So did you know that was the reason why they left?
No, I didn't know.
Like,
I did not. I did not
Lorenzo
know.
and Imelda, or did you
Did
find
not
that out
know.
later?
I found that out later.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? When I found out she was 14, that's when that thing came out on Facebook. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he spend it to me, bro. I didn't know nothing about that either. He spend it to me more like, hey, we got to take care of the people, because they are groups. They had groups, So we need you to step in, and so, dude, I had to like forgive, like Imelda and Lorenzo, which we cool now. But it's like I was like, man, y'all just dumped everything on us. But my mind was messed up, man, because the way he spun the story to me. So
And what was crazy is that like Lorenzo and Imelda, when they left, like they didn't really tell anybody.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people maybe weren't aware of the information that the truth on why they left.
Yeah. So, and I missed the one key topic. Okay. When Crazy Chris came, that's my dog. I love Chris. Shout out to Chris and shout out to Mo and the podcast they do and everything like that. So when he came with his wife, who was now his wife. I guess it was his girlfriend, and he tried so hard to break them up.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? He tried so hard to break them up. And I think I know now the reason why is because he was trying to prep her for whatever he was thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's true.
So I think that, and the funny thing is Chris, I love Chris. Chris was already hip to the game. He knew what this dude was trying to do, him and Mo. And JP, they kind of knew a little bit like, man, because they weren't always in. And they would always confront, David would always confront, Eric, myself, and Zach, and Lorenzo, like, do you guys think that these guys are all in and stuff like this? Now I know why they weren't all in, because they knew that this dude was weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think about it now, and it's just like, I'm hip to the game that they were like truthful enough to know that, this guy was weird. So then they left, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, fast forward back to Lorenzo and Imelda. They took off, they left, and we were kind of puzzled, like, why are they leaving? So then there was another deacon that was in the church, right? Like I said, me and his wife were cool friends, And one day, I'm outside. I think I'm doing security at the time, and I see this deacon and I see his wife, and they leave. And like, people know them, you know what I'm saying? They know them, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, dude. So I asked David why they're leaving, and he goes, well, I told him if he hits his wife again, then I'm going to kick him out. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the case. The case was this. David, okay, granted, these people, they did what they had to. They got married on the low. They didn't tell anybody they were getting married. They got married, whatever. So they had like a meeting. And in the meeting, this girl and her husband, they would send each other text messages. He took her phone to see the kind of things that she was sending to the dude. And it turns out, she was sending like provocative pictures and stuff like this. And he was just like, enamored with it and all this other stuff like this. So then on top of that, they had their own marital issues. I'm not even going to get into that, But he ended up slapping this dude in his face.
Wow.
He ended up slapping this guy in his face, And then on top of that, they're leaving. And then months later, okay, she sends me a text message and says, hey, Steven, did they say the reason why we left PTM? And I'm like, the only reason that I got was that, I think it's like around 2015, 14, something like that. Yeah, so she was like, the reason why we left, no, I said, they told us that the reason why you left is because Zach, hit you, or whatever. And so then she was just like, oh, that's not the reason. And then she started telling me all these things that he would, try to do and all this other stuff. They're trying to fill on her butt, stuff like that. I think that's what she was trying to say. So I ended up telling you, you know what I'm saying? And then I think
You got
that
something
night,
explain to do over here, bro.
I ended up telling you, and then after that, that's when that post on Facebook came out. Immediately, like it was like maybe that later on that week, that's when the funk hit the fan. And that's when the first girl I was speaking about in 2008.
yeah, no, okay. I know what I'm gonna say now, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So that's when she started spreading
Remember.
the truth out on Facebook.
Yeah.
And us at the time were just like so for
She
PTM.
blasted all of us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She blasted everybody and
Yeah.
everything like this. And I mean, I don't blame her now.
Now, yeah, of
You know what I'm
course.
saying? So like, and the thing is, we were so PTM, like, gung ho that we were like defending this fool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On social media. And even me, I like to apologize to the people that I disrespected, you know what I'm saying, on social media. Like I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, all because I was trying to defend this dude's honor, not knowing that what kind of a monster he was behind closed doors. I said so many wicked things and stupid things like that. So I want to apologize to anybody who knows that I disrespected him like that. So I said some weird, wicked stuff, man. And all was just because, I was thinking I was doing the right thing. Because I thought that these people were trying to slander our pastor and trying to bring him down.
So you were ready to throw hands, basically. No, I'm late. I'm late.
The thing about me is this, you know what I'm saying? Now,
No, I was just playing, but so there's truth to this.
no. The thing is, I mean, I'll throw hands for sure. The thing about me is this: I'm a loyal guy.
Amen. Yes.
I've always been a loyal guy.
Yeah.
If you saw any type of loyalty towards me, and people that know me know this, man, I'm gonna love you to death. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be there for you the way I always be there for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what like no type of like even if you don't not there for me. I mean, I'm still gonna be loyal to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that came from. He used our loyalty against us.
Yeah.
And I remember that night, me and the homie Jericho, that boy was wild, man. I love that guy. We went to his house, and you were there, and his wife was there, his brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they were there, and y'all, in the circle, y'all, and we prayed, and I told him like, man, I'm gonna be here with you, through this whole process. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I told him I was gonna be there for him.
Yeah.
Because I still believed in him. So then that Wednesday or Thursday, whenever he had service, he got up on stage. His mama came. You know what I'm saying? His mama was there,
Yeah, I
and
remember
he read his little statement. Now he didn't say what he did. He just said inappropriate messages. But what he didn't say was I was touching on other females. I was borderline cheating on my wife. I was stalking another girl. I was breaking up relationships. He didn't say none of that. He just says, hey, man, I was acting inappropriately as a pastor, and I sent inappropriate messages that I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be sitting down for a minute. Yeah. That's what he said. That lasted all but probably a couple months.
Yeah. So let me chime in right here. So he got to me, bro, with the part where, the whole hitting this and then the whole drug thing. So he spinned that whole story to me. And I remember when I went to his house, when I was on the Let's Chop It Up, podcast, shout out to them. When I was there, I shared this story. So that's when I went to his house with my laptop, and he took it because they actually went to see Muros. Well, they didn't go there because it's in Colombia, but they contacted them, and John Garza was the pastor that was going to actually come down here to do the investigation. So then he takes my laptop, bro. So he spins the whole story, so I didn't know what he just said. I didn't know all that, took place. So he had already reached out to me telling me, oh, this is what happened. We had to let him go. That's why they're leaving. So he was already playing, the parts that he needed to play. So then he takes my laptop and he writes the whole message, to John Garza, but under my email. Wow. Telling him, hey, Mike's overseeing the ministry. He's going to take care of the people. And then he just slanders, slanders or discredits is a good word. Discredits, both of them, Zach and Amy, discredits both of them in the email, talking bad about them, bro. And then just...
So John Garza caught wind of this because of
and
Facebook.
he was going to fly from over there from Colombia down to here. That's what he was going to do. But because because they're friends too, bro. So you got to understand that too. And so he took my laptop and discredited them and then encouraged him about me. Like, hey, Mike's been here X amount of years, been raising him up. He's going to be with us. We got Steven. We got these other people, that are going to hold down the fort. Really don't need you to kind of come down here. So he said, oh, okay, thank you. So you could see the email he sent back, thanks for letting me know, so he never really came down. So he shut that door from them trying to bring, somebody else in to try to get wind of stuff because he was able to control us and keep us right where he needed us to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
he used your laptop.
Correct. Yes.
So why did you just let him do that?
Because of the story he spinned on me, man. I didn't know the details of what happened. I only went by what he told me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I didn't know that. So like the whole touching her butt, the whole beating this, and the all this other stuff. I didn't know, bro. And then I even apologized because you were there with me, right? When I met with them after. No, no, after all this came out.
I'm trying to bring me into
No,
this.
bro, listen. No.
Well,
I'm
so
talking
my
about.
hands
I'm
are
talking
clean,
about.
Hey.
Hold on. Listen. I'm talking about when we left PTM and we actually went to meet with Zach and Amy. Weren't you
Okay,
there
yeah,
with me?
yeah, mhm.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I have, I talked to them, I repented to them, I heard their version of the story because when I went back, dude, and I left PTM, that's when you had told me, guys, gonna speak to you about certain people, and they were one of the main ones. So I opened up my messenger, and yeah, dude, she was reaching out to me, trying to ask, for help. She wanted to talk to me, show me the messages. I just shut her down, bro, because like I said, he had already gotten to me. So I was like thinking of her and Zach in a certain way that I shouldn't have been talking to them. I mean, thinking about them. So he just totally, brainwashed me, and me all being dumb and gullible, I just believed him. And so he was able to close that door with Amy and Zach, and then he closed the door with John Garza.
John.
Yeah. So all that was spinned, and so we stayed in our places and kept picking up the church again.
Yeah, I think that's a big um like integral red flag is when somebody, like, if your pastor uses your device, your phone, to communicate to somebody,
Yeah.
and that somebody is thinking that that's coming from you, but it's somebody else is using. That's a big, like, yo, like, I think that you should have been like, yo, what the heck is
Yeah.
David doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
But
I
you
should
were
have done something
trained.
about it, and I was, yeah.
But
But I think
people-
I was already brainwashed, man. And anything
Yeah.
he asked me to do, I'm like, okay, cool, I got this. But I think what always got to me, bro, that when I look back on it, that I think he was able to control me with was the whole, like, the pastoral heart. I know you love these people.
Yeah.
You're going to help them. Let's just get through this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. So I was always focusing, like, okay, let's just let these people go, focus on who we have, and let's help them get better. And that was always my focus like that. So, but I think with your same way, loyalty, his loyalty, my loyalty, I think he really played our strings, pulled those strings on us many times. But I agree, man. I made a lot of dumb mistakes, and that was another one,
Yeah.
for everybody to know. So,
Yeah, I mean, it also ruined my relationship with my homie Max. He was a good brother, man. You know what I'm saying? And I apologize for hurting him and his feelings and his family. You know what I'm saying? Because Max was a good dude. And if he's here and he listens, you know what I'm saying? I pray that you forgive me, bro. Because I was off it. You know what I'm saying? I was off, bro. So, anyways, now that you were speaking, it reminded me of another sister that before they built the PTM building, that while they were building the building, David was trying to mess around with his sister, And Wes was working with and shout out to young Wes. I'm gonna talk about him too. I love that guy. So Wes was there, loyal soldier, and this girl comes in, you know what I'm saying? And I guess they had whatever was going on between him and, and David, this is from the account what the sister told me. You know what I'm saying? Because he would always kind of prep her too, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, one day I think that she goes and they go in the same car from that building, and he tries to put his hands on her, you know what I'm saying? And then like she gets offended and she kicks him out the car. She kicks him out the car and leaves him, like, I guess on the highway or something like this, and she drives off because she wasn't having it. And then he had to call Wes to come pick him up. You know what I'm saying? And speaking about Wes, I've never seen a guy work so hard for a ministry and never get the credit that he deserved.
Amen.
Wes was one of the most loyal individuals. He's a great friend, you know what I'm saying? And he always wanted to see people succeed. And
Yeah, that's true.
he always wanted to see people succeed. And he was manipulated into surrendering his equipment and studio to PTM. You remember that meeting that we had? Yeah. That he was supposed to sign over his equipment to PTM, but all this dude really wanted to do was push godly music. He'll record all of our stuff, you know what I'm saying? Before he recorded his own. Even a song that he did, David's like, no, let me take this song. David actually butchered the song. It sucked.
Oh,
you know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
He made it trash, you know what I'm saying? But, Wes is a great dude. I mean, so shout out to Wes, man. I love that dude, man. He deserves all the money that this dude stole from Wesley, man.
Yeah.
All the money that he stole from your father, bro. $30,000, you know what I'm saying? All that money, bro. And on top of that, all the money that we were giving, we were like coerced into giving a portion of our income tax check to match. Oh, I'm gonna give 1,000. We don't know if he gave 1,000. You know what I'm saying? To give at least $1,000 to match him, or give 2,000 or 1,500, whatever God's putting on your heart.
Yeah, so let me talk about my dad real quick, because you made that large number. Everybody's like, what? So let me say that really quick. So he used me again in this part, and well, me and my dad already talked all about this, but it's embarrassing, bro. So I remember we were at the famous what is it,
Lonella?
no, Madeline.
La Madeleines.
Yeah, Madeline's. There you go.
La Madeline's.
We always went there. It's like Carol's favorite place or something. I don't know. So anyway, so we were there. I never forget. We were in the parking lot. Dude, I'm telling you, man. I just remember this so clearly. And he just starts casting vision to me. Hey, Mike, we got this new building we've been praying for. So instead of going to my dad, he goes to me because he's smart, and I just feel so dumb. And he's like, but it's going to cost about, $25K to be able to start the building process, to do, what do you call it, renovation or, whatever to the building or whatnot.
Okay.
So he came
this
to me.
is before like the construction started.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's like, this is what I think we would need. Do you think your dad could help us with that? And so, me, I'm all excited. Like, man, we're going to finally get a building, because we were in the north side with...
for many years, we were from hotel to hotel.
Right. Yeah. So
we're finally going to get a building.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm all excited about it. Mr. Hill. There you go.
Mr. Hill. Okay.
In
We're in the
Northside.
Heights.
Yeah. Heights. There you go. So we were there. So I was like, yeah,
He's a good man too.
Yeah, man.
Shout out
So
Mr. Hill.
he got a big heart, bro. So I'm all like, okay, let me go talk to my dad. So I never forget. Remember, I went to, I think it was lunch with him, because he was still working at that time. And so I went to lunch, and I said, I broke it down, said, hey, Dad, this is what I think we're going to need. You think you can help us? And he came into the agreement that he would just get like a loan to be able to give it to the church. But that David was like, oh, yeah, and tell your dad, every month, we're going to be able to collect the money. We got the building the reserves. We're going to do yada, yada, yada. So we're going to be able to pay him, monthly on that and all that stuff. So I go over there, tell my dad, and he's like, all right. So I never forget, dude, I got the check, and I think I deposited, I think it was in February of 2014. Yeah, because that's when my son had passed in May. So it was February, when that happened. And so then I deposited, $25K into the account, for PTM, and it was on my lunch break. And then the building process, began. And my dad, over there thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to get the money back to be able to get paid, every month, maybe, 500, 1,000, 200, something, just never paid him back, bro. And so then ended up happening, my dad went, I think it was either to his savings or his 401, I forgot, one of those two, either his savings or his retirement account, and he just paid off, the entire amount, because he was never going to get it back, and that's
I didn't know that.
Bro, that's excluding the part where I told y'all on my wife's episode where he went to him for the other business thing supposedly he was going to have, and another $5,000 from my dad. And again, man, I think we're generous people. We want to help. We want to do something. And my dad really didn't do it for David, bro. He did it for me.
Yeah.
And I think David knew that. Like, if he would have gone, I think in his mind he was probably thinking, man, I don't have credibility with Martin.
Yeah.
But Mike does, because that's his son. Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and use him as the middleman to try to get the money from my dad. And it worked, man. But let me just say this to my dad, shout out to him. I love my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's still with us to this day in the church that we have now.
The sheriff.
And serves, still to this day. He's awesome. But I want to just say this, for everybody to know, like, my dad said, though, like, he was okay, doing that because my life did change there, and he really believes that he got his son back, and
I mean, because
I'm happy about that.
you could have died before
of
Christ.
course, because the way I was living, with the drug addiction, alcohol,
So your dad was very grateful.
for that. Yeah. So he did it more for like those reasons. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think he did it, for the right motives. But it's just that part where it's like, hey, are you gonna pay? And no, and then you just, don't do it that way. And then him also, David, using us, bro, like dude, we don't have nothing with construction experience,
Yeah.
painting,
Yeah.
but it's like we had to do all of that. And then the story was like, it's for God's house. And, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but that's why you should pay somebody to do it with excellence. We don't know what we're doing. You know what I mean? And, but again,
So it was just a bunch of young kids,
yeah, trying to fix this
doing what we
building
can,
and
yeah.
doing what we can. And then it's like, dude,
And
it's
then
because
get
he didn't want to
yelled at.
use,
And then
the
get
money.
yelled at and screamed at for, for not knowing what to do.
Yeah,
And,
dude, and then we didn't have to pay a court. Man, I forgot the landlord's name. Remember the landlord's name? God, dog,
Ignacio.
Ignacio. There you go. Thank you, man. So, so he even told me, if I wish I got the paperwork for it, that we didn't even have to pay, bro, for like the first maybe 3 months or
4
something.
months.
Yeah, that it was gonna be free. So you're getting the $25K. Then we're working there for free, and then you're getting 3 to 4 months for free on top of that, and then you're getting the building the reserves money at the end of the year on top of that.
Bro.
But we don't. But we can't pay rent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
Jesus.
So-
okay, sorry, bro. I had to say all that.
So is this girl that kicked him out of her car?
yeah.
Was that the time that he got dumped at the on South Main?
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. So I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. All right, so anyways, after that, he sells this little story that, he's going to get away from ministry. So I had been writing this.
Again?
No, I was continuing the story before y'all did that little tangent. So
Sorry.
No, I'm saying like he's gonna sit down again, David.
this is the first time he actually, I don't know,
okay.
I guess the second time. Because the funny thing is in 2012, when he actually sat down, and
Lost
Carol,
count how many times he said that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, he gonna sit down again?
in 2012, when he sat down, and Carol actually rose to prominence as the lead senior pastor, whatever you want to call it. Okay, what happened? Oh, so as she rose, remember that same night that she came into and Pastor David anointed her as the lead pastor. Okay, remember there were no like real manifestations of demons to that point. People weren't manifesting. People weren't throwing up and stuff like this. When she came as the senior pastor,
That's
bro,
a good point. No, that's a good point.
all this stuff started breaking out every single service. I'm talking about people falling on the floor, people screaming, and demons coming out, and all this other stuff like this. Why? Because he he sat down. They moved him out the way, and then she rose to.
Man, that's crazy. No, that's true, man. Yeah,
So when that happened, it was like a shift. And then the atmosphere of the church started to project. I think the mercy of God was on us. You know what I'm saying? But as she continued to be in that relationship and taking into that poison and all this stuff that he was doing and not listening to what the Holy Spirit was telling her, because I know the Holy Spirit was screaming in her ear. Yeah. She's still, and then all of a sudden she just, her ministry just fizzled out and it just became dry, and it was the same message every week. But anyway, going back to the story. So after he sits down and gives his little speech and all this other stuff like this, I had been working on a play. It was already done. Okay, it was already done. I just needed the actors, and we were going to start practicing it, and we are going to go do it on stage and everything like this. So I called my cast there, and the thing about David was, if you did something or anything in the church, that he wanted you to submit it to him to see if it was even, if it was good enough or if it met his standards. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the thing about David was that even though he was still sitting down, he still kept calling the shots. So that night, I invited all the people that I had, casted for this play. And before the practice even starts, bro, I get a phone call from him. And he's upset because remember I posted it on the on our PTM page, whatever like this, that everybody who's in the play come meet at this certain time, yada yada yada. And then I knew he was calling me because and I just felt it in my spirit. Don't pick up that phone. You know what I'm saying? Don't pick up the phone. He kept calling me. He didn't pick up the phone. So then he calls Mauricio, who was there. Mauricio picks up the phone and he says, and he brings me his phone and he goes, "Oh, Pastor David wants to talk to you." And he's like, "Man, I did not authorize that you guys should start doing this play, yada, yada, yada. I didn't want nobody doing a play." And the thing about the play was this. It was about a pastor who cheated on his wife and ended up killing the woman that he was cheating on with. You know what I'm saying? So he read that and he was like, "Is this about me? You know what I'm saying? Is this about me?" It had nothing to do with him. Before he even gave that stupid speech, I knew nothing about what was going on. I had already written that story. It was just the timing to actually do it. So he gets pissed off at the fact that I'm doing this play and he thinks it's about him. You know what I'm saying? And it had nothing to do with him. So the thing about David was he just loved control. One of my good friends, okay? And man, shout out to Eric, man. Eric Romero, man, that's my dog, man. This dude was one of the greatest rappers I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
People listening thinking I'm exaggerating. Hell no. This dude, it was so effortless. Like he could rap, he could sing, he could dance, he could act. I'm like, this dude was just like, it was just talent was all over this kid. You know what I'm saying? And David kept trying to control this dude. Even to the point where outside of it, he tried to control his relationship. He told his then girlfriend at the time, and they had been dating for years, bro. They already talked about getting married, dog. And they kept putting seeds in her head that, well, this guy's lazy. He's not going to do this for you. He's not going to do this for you. He's not going to do this for you. So he destroyed his relationship with that girl. And he loved that girl. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was the precursor to the fact that now on top of the control, on top of the abuse, on top of the name calling, all those types of things that, because, Eric was coming to church with us, but he was just like, no, I'm not coming here no more. And to the point where he doesn't even do music at the capacity that I know he's capable of. Because, like, if he, like, honestly, out of everybody in the rap team, okay, out of everybody in the rap team, I can humble myself and say, yeah, that dude's, he's the best. You know what I'm saying? I can. There's not many people in rap that you can say, like, dude was better than me. There's people in CHH right now, I know they can't rap better than me. I can sneeze on the track and be better than them. You know what I'm saying? But
Who you?
yeah, I can cough on the track and I'll be better than them. You know what I'm saying? But this dude right here,
Comments, Eric.
I thought you were talking about Eric.
Eric Romero.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, yeah.
This dude, it's just so effortless to him. You know what I'm saying? He can do rock and roll, all that stuff. But he was just like, bro, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to, he's just like, he don't want to do it no more. And I encouraged, like, we keep encouraging this dude to do it. But if he had went far, like we knew, I'm like, this dude can have been all over the world. That's how great he was.
Yeah.
But he just kind of stopped his talent. And anybody who's ever listened to his music knows exactly what the heck I'm talking about. So getting back to the money, right? So I ended up losing my job at one time, and I remember I came to you, Mike, and actually I came to David first, and I said, hey, there's this I really want to start shooting movies in the church, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, so-and-so has some equipment that, we can use. I'm going to purchase it from him. I'm like, cool. I want to add to, pay for it, some of it so that we can be able to use it and start making some movies and stuff. So he's like, yeah, cool. Okay, give the money. So I gave you the money. And this is after I lost my job, bro. And I'm thinking I'm doing this for God.
Yeah.
I give you damn near all the money I had. You know what I'm saying? Just for this equipment. I never saw that equipment.
Yeah.
Never saw it. And then at one of those meetings at La Madeline that you just mentioned, and he wasn't going to those meetings on those Mondays anymore because, we used to have those Monday meetings. We will talk for hours about foolishness and nothing would get done. And then Carol took prominence and then we started actually making some progress in what we're doing. So I addressed the issue. I'm like, months ago, I gave this dude $1,000, you know what I'm saying, to help purchase this equipment. So can we, you know what I'm saying, can I figure out what's going on? You know what I'm saying? I really need to know. Not even after I left the parking lot, bro. I didn't even leave the parking lot yet, dog. This dude got on the phone and called me. He's like, what are you over here asking my wife about the $1,000 that you gave for the equipment? I'm like, fool, you told me you was going to buy it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You told me that. So I can start filming, you know what I'm saying, stuff for the church, And he was just like, we reserve the right to use the money for whatever it is that we need for the church and all this other junk like this.
So when you gave me the money, I went and gave it to him. And I'm like, hey, Steven's going to give this because, he wants to shoot the videos. He talked to me. He talked to you about it. And, of course, he's like, oh, yeah, okay. And then next thing we know, like, so where's the camera?
Never got
nowhere to be found, man. And then you're going to say to him, I reserve the right to use it. No, you don't, dude. You reserve the right to do it as it was been instructed to give to, because we're supposed to be a nonprofit 501c3, and you're supposed to designate people's gifts or donations accordingly. And he didn't do that.
So,
Which, by the way, I believe is illegal too.
yeah. So anyway, getting back to some deeper things, okay? So, and another thing about David was that he would always try to play himself as the victim, one. And number two, he always tried to make you feel like he was your friend, and try to dehumanize himself. I don't even know if that's a word, but
Or like humanize himself.
humanize. Yeah, they go, sorry. He humanized himself. Like, not make it seem like he was a pastor, but he can relate to you on another level. Now, I believe that's true, but to a certain extent. You feel what I'm saying? That's true to a certain extent. So, and that's what he did a lot with these girls.
So you feel like he did that intentionally to kind of like build that connection with you?
To build that
or with
connection,
people?
also do it to the sisters. So because he would tell the first girl I was talking about, I just want to be your friend. I need friends that I can call on. I need friends so I can, you know what I'm saying? To try to build that type of, relationship. Now I believe there's supposed to be a level of decorum when it comes to a pastor. Like, this is my pastor, but I know when he's my pastor, and I know when to be friend Stephen versus disciple Stephen. You know what I'm saying? There's barriers I don't cross, and he knows the same thing. This one night, this guy, oh my God. And I'm going to say this on the podcast too. So I had mentioned earlier about the people that left the church, the deacons that left the church, because supposedly the brother slapped his wife. Okay? Now, David had this habit of always repeating his same stories all and all over again. He said he used to be a pimp back in the day and all this other junk like this. So, like, as if we were supposed to be impressed. You know what I'm saying? You were a scumbag, so we're supposed to be impressed by that. So, anyways, one day I'm dropping him off at church after service, and he's like talking mess about all the people that left. He's talking about Lorenzo. He talked about how he dreamed of killing him. You know what I'm saying? Yes. He told me he had a dream of he was going to kill Lorenzo.
Yeah.
He said he had a dream of killing Lorenzo.
Did not know that.
And then, and this is what really got sick. So he's like talking about the girl who left with her husband. And he starts talking about, man, if it was back in the day, I would just pimp her out. I would have her lick.
God bless everyone. I want to first say thank you to Stephen for taking the time and sharing his testimony with us. We appreciate your friendship and all the work that you've put into this ministry. We want to just say thank you. Now, to those of you who feel like each of these episodes resonates with you, let me encourage you to go to our website at famcitycenter.com. There you will find a tab that says Affirmation Groups. These are small groups where you can connect with people with similar backgrounds. We encourage you to contact one of them closest to your location and begin your healing journey with others. We look forward to hearing from you soon. God bless.